Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard. Here it is Thursday. So happy it's Thursday.
Yes, me too. Me too.
Getting ready for a big weekend, and I mean a big weekend. We got the Buddy Walk. We've already talked to you about that. And that's 10 o'clock on Saturday morning at Forsyth Park. They're giving away a car. They're actually raffling off a car. And I mean a brand new one from either a Nissan Rogue or a Honda
CRV.
CRV, yeah, that's
Yes.
it. Keep someone, Law and Order CUV, or something like that. They're in all sorts of great entertainment for the kids. You will really enjoy from the Low Country Down Syndrome Society, and we talked to Joe Marchese about it yesterday. And we also have the Folds of Honor banquet that's coming up, and a fundraiser that's going to be at the Savannah Golf Club on Saturday night. It's also Fill the Park. Savannah Philharmonic is performing. That's a Greek festival getting underway today at the Hellenic Center. If you can't find something to do here in Savannah this week, you are a dull person. It's all there is to it. You need to get out and see the sights, and it looks like the weather's going to be cooperating as well.
Yes, and early voting has started for runoff for David Tootle and Melinda Hodge. Make sure you go vote for David Tootle.
Yeah.
But it has started, and it will be now until the 13th, and then Saturday voting is just October 7th, so make sure you go vote. And then, of course, the day is October 17th for the final election. So
Sure.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, you go out and vote early, vote often.
Yes.
So
yes.
there we have it. Had another drive-by shooting yesterday near Savannah High School. One student was injured, got hit in the leg. They say he'll be okay. Once again, what's happening in Savannah?
Well, and I think, we touched on this a little bit as we, played clips from Chicago and Philadelphia and all of these Democrat-run cities. Newsflash, Savannah is run by Democrats.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we can expect that some of this is going to continue. We need to right the ship. The DA here has been terrible. That's part of the reason I think we're seeing crime become more prevalent here in Savannah. It's not as bad as other cities. However, we have to stay on top of it, or else, we see how quickly it goes, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Philadelphia was, it was so quick.
It used to be a nice place.
Used to be.
So was San Francisco, one of the most beautiful, fun cities in the world.
Well, here's the thing. Liberty Bell is in Philadelphia. There's so much history there. It's a city that should be respected, that we should cherish, and that we should,
where the
keep
Constitution
clean.
was signed and things of that nature. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really sad what these cities can turn into, but just everyone needs to be alert when it comes to what's going on in Savannah, especially when you're seeing a drive-by shooting by a high school.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
Yeah. And right. In fact, one lady was interviewed and said that she moved into that neighborhood, Capitol Street. It's right off of President Street, and she said, she moved here because she thought it was a safe area, and it probably is. A drive-by shooting. These guys could have been from Hinesville, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
I'm sure they weren't. But at the same time, she said, she thought this was nice. Well, I got news for you. No matter where you go, there's a problem.
Yep. So definitely something that. And here's the thing: when you see a police officer, thank him, because their job is not fun right now. When you arrest someone and they're out on the street before
you fill out the paperwork.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's got to be a frustrating place to be, and we really should thank our police officers for what they do for us every day.
Exactly. Yeah. We at least appreciate ours. We pay them a pretty good wage. We have pretty good starting salaries as well for new officers. And right now, I think Sheriff John Wiltshire of Chatham County is 200 or 300 deputies short. The job starts at $42,000, I think $45 if you're a veteran.
All the overtime you want, though.
And all
you
the
can
overtime. He said he's got people making six-figure salaries.
Yep, that's what he told me too.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Works there.
Yes, and here's the other thing, Bill. Savannah's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
We need to keep it beautiful. We need to keep it safe. And, again, officers need to feel appreciated in order for them to stay here in Savannah and to stay wanting to do the job. If we're not good to our police officers, I know that they already feel disenfranchised by our DA. So anything we can do to show our appreciation, I think we should.
For sure. And tell them that next time you vote, you're not going to vote for re-elect that witch.
Correct. And here's the other thing that happened this week. Carrie Lake filed her Senate paperwork. So she will be running for Senate in the state of Arizona.
Good for her.
Which I find very exciting. I believe that she is running for Kristen Sinema's seat, which she switched to an independent, which I think will hurt her, but we shall see.
Yeah, and we'll see that how well the voting machines work in the heavy districts where she is popular. See if they break down again.
Yeah, I think that they'll maybe come up with a different strategy. I don't think the election day strategy really worked out for them in Arizona, honestly. So you got to get smarter than these people.
You're talking about people that you think they're smart. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Let's keep going back to that well.
Yeah, other people running for office. Speaker of the House, we have Jim Jordan put his hat in the ring, and we have Steve Scalise that put his hat in the ring. And Donald Trump's name is being floated as well, so that could be
Taylor
interesting.
Greene says she's not going to vote for anybody else.
Yeah,
Donald Trump or nobody.
Yeah, it could get really interesting because that could impact a lot of the criminal trials that they have against him. And I don't know, there's just like a whole lot of conspiracy that could go into that. Yeah. So really interesting.
I don't think it's going to be Donald Trump, but I sure would like to. Steve Scalise would be okay. I'd love to have Jim Jordan.
Yeah.
Because I think he's the real deal. He is not going to be putting up with a lot of the crap that's going on now. So I would love to see him in that seat.
Yeah, me too. We'll see. I heard that there's a bunch of other names coming up. Unfortunately, they did recess. They should be up in D.C. working. However, they recessed. I guess a lot of people needed to go home and lick their wounds after Speaker McCarthy was ousted this week. So they'll be back on Tuesday, it looks like, to address the speaker issue, or not having a speaker. But here's the other thing. They have pro tem. They have a temporary speaker.
That's right.
I don't understand it.
And by the way, the sun will come up again in the east. And everything's going to be fine. We'll have a Speaker of the House here shortly. This is how democracy is supposed to work. That precious democracy that the Democratans love so much.
Well, here's the thing. I think that this has more to do with the lobbyists than it does anything else. I think that this was the shot heard all around K Street up there in D.C., where all the lobbyists tend to be.
K Street.
Yeah, So I think that they're the ones really having a hard time with it. The other thing is with the funding, I think that's, I heard an interview with Nancy Mace yesterday. It was very, very good. And I think more people are upset with her than anyone else because she was the biggest surprise. I think when you heard her vote, you could hear the gasp from people because they could not believe that Nancy Mace voted to oust the speaker. However, he repeatedly lied about what he was going to do. And they keep spending money. And she's like, we cannot keep doing this. And we have to start standing up or else we're never going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
But do you know how much it costs her to run for office every 2 years? In her district?
I hesitate to make a guess because she's one of the ones that's being targeted.
Yep.
Yeah. About $5 million?
6. Every 2 years, $6 million. That's ridiculous. And McCarthy was supposed to fundraise about $300 million for Republicans in the next cycle, and that obviously isn't going to happen. So I think people are concerned about that. And so I think that there's a lot more to it. The mechanics of it is much more difficult to explain, I think, because there is so many things when it comes to running for office, where the money comes from, and how the speaker or some of these PACs work. And so while it is very simple to us that elect these people, for them it's much more complicated because it's all about the money, and it always has been. So I think that I commend Nancy Mace because I know that it's put her in a really tough spot. Matt Gaetz has never taken PAC money, so he has always raised money from $20 at a time. So I think that it's a little bit different for Matt, but definitely Nancy Mace is going to be impacted by this. And honestly, I prefer someone that's more principled. And Nancy Mace and I don't agree on everything, but I prefer someone that at least has some backbone and tries to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're never going to agree with everybody on everything. My wife and I, we've been married 27 years, and there's a lot of times when we disagree on stuff, but we still love each other. We're still married, so you're never going to agree with everything. I can remember one time when one of the best speeches I ever heard was when F. Lee Bailey was at the zenith of his career. He spoke at Ole Miss, and the law school had brought him in, and of course he packed the house. But one of the things that he said was, when you have a jury trial, He says, and a jury always comes to a better decision than a single judge on a general, because you have a collection of it. But he said, you're never going to get 12 people to agree on anything. He said, so usually somebody gets beaten out of their vote. He said he'd like to see it kind of like what they do in court martials in the military. That doesn't have to be a unanimous vote. So something like a 10-2 verdict should be enough to acquit or convict.
I agree. I agree with that.
Because somebody eventually gets beaten out of their vote.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And Lizzie Warren says, as Cat Turd said, 2 days with no speaker and his life is unchanged. 6 million? 6 million leaves the candidate beholden. Exactly. That's the whole point. That's been the whole plan.
That was the beauty of Donald Trump. He used a lot of his own money. He had his own transportation. He didn't owe anybody anything. And that's what scared him so much. Yeah. So, meanwhile, we had a school board meeting last night.
We did, and we are actually going to get to that in a little bit. We need to toss to break. When we get back, we will have Candace Taylor with us.
Candace Taylor, who ran for governor.
Yep.
And she's going to be talking to us about
the State Board of Election meeting.
Yeah, that's coming up. Stay real.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
I don't think it's an accident that I ended up writing music for a living, because I think I lived in a house where I saw how deeply it affected everyone in the house. And just how much everyone defined themselves by the music they listened to.
Music as a framework, I think, gave my parents my identity from a young age. You can like any music that you want if it makes you feel happy. And now when I hear certain songs, I think of them, and I think of them in their happiest state, and it makes me happy.
If they seem like they're having trouble talking about something, I try to tell them about a time when I felt something similar.
Whatever the issue was, we would tell them the pros and cons and how important it was, and that they had come to us because we could always help them. I think the real important point, we always told them, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, we will help you through it no matter what it is.
Are you a mom or dad? Do you have little kids with big dreams? Well, hopefully your kids aren't white or Asian, because if they are, they will have a very hard time getting into their dream college or landing their dream job. Top schools and corporations are run by left-wing Democrats, and they openly discriminate against whites and Asians. So even if your daughter has the best test scores, even if your son has amazing grades, even if they spend extra hours studying and doing everything right, it won't be enough. Unless you suddenly discover that you're part Cherokee, or transgender, or in the country illegally. Otherwise, your kids are out of luck. Which begs the question, if Democrats are hurting your children, why would you ever vote for them? Stop the bigotry. Stop the insanity. Paid for by Citizens for Sanity.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard this morning.
Yes, and we're going to get to Candace Taylor in just a minute, but yesterday was the school board meeting, Bill.
Yeah, there was. And our good buddy Beth Maggioroni, once again, was front and center to tell them like it is.
Good afternoon. Past speakers have referred to me and others who speak at the school board with the request to remove obscene books from the local school libraries as book banners. This is demonstrably false. Our critics conflate two positions, an easy-to-defend position and a controversial one. Instead of defending the controversial position, exposing children to obscene language and images in school libraries, the critics retreat to defending a less controversial position, freedom of speech, while acting as though the positions are equivalent. Using this deceptive debate tactic, the speakers who have erroneously called us book banners are saying we want to ban all books that contain characters of certain creeds, colors, or legal lifestyles. This is 100% false. We want to remove any book that contains pornographic language or images, regardless of its subject matter, in school libraries only. I will summarize with the following truthful statements about our mission. 1, we are not book banners. We support the First Amendment protection of free speech. We are not proposing limited access to books outside of the school setting. 2, we are opposed to obscenity as defined in Georgia law appearing in school library publications of any kind. 3, we are not opposed to school libraries containing books about any topic or genre that is age appropriate. Books are an avenue for people of all creed, color, and life situations to identify with characters. However, whatever the topic or genre of a school library book, obscenity shouldn't be included. 4, by the same token that cigarettes or alcohol aren't sold in a school store, obscenity shouldn't be offered in school library books. Parents send their children to what they presume is a safe school free from illegal substances. 5, the current media center policy of Savannah-Chatham County puts the responsibility on already overburdened parents to be familiar with the ever-increasing volume of books that contain obscenity so they can either opt out their child or follow the onerous process of challenging a book. We have spoken with many parents who are afraid of retaliation from teachers and or school officials for their child or themselves if they challenge a book per policy. 6, taxpayers pay for these books as the largest part of their property taxes go to the schools, yet they aren't allowed to challenge the use of their funds for the purchase of obscenity. On behalf of all local taxpayers, parents, and school children, we respectfully ask for books that violate the obscenity law of the state to be removed from Savannah-Chatham County school libraries. Thank you.
Oh, Beth, she is so articulate.
She is.
Yes, I love when she talks at the school board meetings, board of election meetings. It's always a good time. One of the other topics that was at the school board meeting last night was making sure that, kids have access to translators and more ESL classes and things like that. There's also, I guess, there was a huge shuffle at the beginning of the year as well. People were transferred pretty quickly out of the school that they started to attend, but then got transferred to another school.
Right.
And they are having a hard time getting kids to get all the required classes because they're maxed out in space. So like a history class, and I don't remember the other ones, but history was one of them, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and but we don't need translators. They need to learn English, okay?
Well, here's the thing. We're not even getting the American kids that speak English. They're not even getting what they need. How can we focus on another category of things that we need to provide? The other thing that was brought up was transportation. They've been talking about transportation for over a year now, and they're in the same place that they've been with transportation. It has not changed. One of the suggestions from one of the speakers, Rick Roney, was that they actually contract out the transportation to someone. They put out an RFP and handle it that way.
Yeah.
So Lizzie Warren says, go Beth, and money grows on trees, right? Let's hire more translators. Yep, apparently so. And here's the thing. I think that there has to be some accountability. You all decided to move to the United States. Exactly. You decided to be here, and now you're putting the burden on the taxpayer. I don't think that's right. And I think that, we just can't always be the piggy bank, and that's what we've turned into, Bill.
Yeah, how would you like it if somebody just moved into your house without your permission? They were required to be there. They were told by the government, you can stay there. We'll pay for for everything for you. So they'll pay you some rent or something, but then they start demanding, this is the food you need to prepare for us. This is the room we need to have, so we can get a view of the pool, or we need a view of the street, or anything of that nature, or your garden outside. And how would you like? And you don't know who this person is. You have no idea where they came from, what their background is, or anything of that nature. Now, how would you like that? And we're having the same thing here, and we don't know who these people are. They're not vetted, and sometimes and now all of a sudden they've decided it's an election year. Maybe we need to start building a border wall again. Mayorkas has actually changed the tune about talking about we need to build some more of the wall. He's talking about building a whole 20 miles. We need about 500 miles, but at least 20 miles is a start. While all this stuff just sits around in rust that we've already paid for to build the wall.
So I'm going to push back a little bit, because I did see that they have replaced some of the Trump border wall with some other type of border wall, and it's mesh. And so the illegals can actually like roll up the bottom of it and they can come through. It's actually ridiculous, but you can see the old border wall. You can see it stacked behind it.
Yeah.
So I don't believe these people. I think that anything they say is a lie.
Of course it is.
You can go down to the border and see for yourself. Nothing is under control.
But it's interesting. It's an election year coming up, and all of a sudden, even Democrat governors now are complaining about all the illegal aliens.
Well, we have the mayor of New York City
Yeah.
down in Mexico City. Number one,
Why?
what is he going to do?
Yeah.
What is he going to do? He has no authority. The governor of Texas can't even do anything. Every time he does something, they just cut through it. So I just don't know. These people they lie to us. I think we're lied to by Democrats. We're lied to by Republicans. I have no faith in these people that are currently elected at this point in time. Lizzie Warren says we are providing free education, breakfast, and lunch for the illegal children. Where's the gratitude? And Lizzie Warren.
There isn't any.
Yeah, and Mary McCann Hybrider said Lizzie Warren, Beth is speaking for all parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, our good friend
Candace Taylor.
is. I'm going to call her Candace Owens for the rest of her life.
Oh, she will not like that.
Why wouldn't she? I'd be complimented, but that's me. Candace, hey, welcome aboard. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, Candace Owens is her own person.
Yeah.
But you know what? She's not in Georgia. She doesn't understand what's going on here, and we definitely have a mess in Georgia we got to fix with our own person.
Well, Candace, you are your own person too. So tell us what is happening. You were just up at the Board of Elections here, and of course, we had the most pristine and honest election in the history of America 3 years ago. How are we going to improve on that?
Right. So 3 years ago and 2 years, well, no, a year ago. So a year and a half ago in 2022, right? We've just had the best elections the last two cycles. So, and I'm being totally facetious. We went up to Atlanta on Tuesday, and me and one of my volunteers from I'm about to say Jacksonville. I'm half awake. From Jessup, and we drove up and we just prayed over the Capitol when we got there. Just started praying over immediately over our Capitol and for them to feel conviction to do the right thing. And then we went in, and there's major construction going on in the Capitol. I immediately could feel chalk in my mouth. I said, I don't know how they're standing this. It's just totally construction everywhere. You can't hardly walk in there. And so maybe it's purposeful, right? Because they don't want you there. But we went to the third floor, and we got up there, and when we got there, we saw some of our friends from Cherokee County who had cases that were being heard, and one of them had been dismissed totally, and the other one had been reduced from criminality down to a civil issue, and both of them were frivolous cases. And so we spoke with them. We noticed a trend going on in the Georgia election board where they were being very lenient and very quick to dismiss cases for Democrats. If you voted for Joe Biden, you were, it's fine. But if you were a Republican and you voted for Donald Trump and it was obvious that you were a Republican, then they had to flesh it out, and we have a lot of discussion, and we've got to go a bunch of back and forth. And, they did dismiss finally some of them, but then some of them they referred on to the Attorney General. And there was one case specifically that was, I think, ridiculous. And actually, my friend Beth McCure in Cherokee, she wrote a letter about this later. It was about a felon, and he was reactivated in the voter rolls. We know we have huge voter roll issues. He was reactivated, and his vote went through and he didn't do it. And so, of course, they don't believe him because he's a felon. And so they're saying no. And they turn him over to the Attorney General. And I believe him. I believe him because we have Kim Brooks and we have Jason from North Georgia or Gwinnett who are working on this tirelessly, and they know that they're reactivating canceled voters. And so I felt for this guy. I'm like, he was a felon. He served his time in prison. He's trying to live his life, and now he's being brought into the election board and turned over to the Attorney General. So that really got to me knowing that happened.
So how do you feel? Yeah.
Yeah, great to be a Democrat.
Yeah. So how do you feel it went on Tuesday? Do you feel like you're making any progress up at the state level? I do know that someone resigned, and so someone else replaced him. How are you feeling about that as you went up there on Tuesday?
Well, I think he resigned because he gave a frivolous prayer that was praying to every god that you could think of, a bunch of fake. He was appointed by Brian Kemp. And so a lot of us started saying, okay, Governor Kemp, you say you're a Christian. You've appointed this chair who is praying to every god. We want him removed. And we want you to replace him with someone godly, because this is ridiculous that this is going on at the Capitol when we are one nation under God, Creator God, when our whole country is founded on Jesus Christ. And so he miraculously resigned, and he was replaced. And so the guy that's the chair now, from what I understand, he was already on the board but previously. And to me, he wasn't as hostile. And, it went on, but still, like I said, they're very partial and very prejudiced discriminatory against the Republicans. And so that was evident. I actually did an interview with CBS before I was leaving. They recognized me and wanted to interview, and so I did. And I blasted them on paper ballots and wanted to know what I wanted to say to Brad Raffensperger, and I said for him to do his job and honor his oath of office. I think that's the thing. These people on this board, they're put on the board. They're not elected. Their place is an appointment. I think Lieutenant Burt Jones is getting a placement soon, so we'll see how his placement on the board does. But they were placed there, but they all have an oath of office. So they swear to God to do certain things, and so they still are directly related to the will of the people. So we're going up and we're telling them how we feel over and over and over. And there was a Democrat group there even talking for paper ballots, wanting paper ballots, that they dismissed. So there's a lot of people there pushing for it. And do I think that they have really any authority? I don't think they have much authority at all, except to take criminality and put it over to Chris Carr, the Attorney General. I don't think they have a whole lot of power on that board, but they definitely could make recommendations back down to local boards, and they definitely could tell them the kind of pressure that's been applied. And they do feel the pressure, because when we were leaving that day, I had already left because I had a 4-hour drive home. But when the other people there, they were leaving, and they spoke to some people on the election board, and they definitely said that they felt the pressure, and they were conservatives. So.
Well, that's progress, right? I think that, that's what we can hope for. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we talk about. And Candace, the thing is that, it's incrementalism. We didn't get here overnight. We have to, and these people fought for what they have now. We have to do the same thing. And any steps we can take to show some progress, I think, is helpful.
And do you have any recommendations for people to get involved, Candace?
Yes, everybody needs to get involved. You have to show up. We had an event in Columbia County in Augusta last night, and there were about 170 people that showed up, which was amazing. And there were about 50 people new they'd never seen before, and they were there, and they were saying, we are sick of this. We want our elections secure. We do not trust the machines. And so they had Seth Keshel was in from Texas, and my friend Holly Kessler, she's works with y'all in Chatham, and then Jody Lott, Representative Lott, and Jody and I have gone rounds before in a meeting about the machines, and so she was there gaslighting and saying all the talking points from the fake Republicans who want to force these machines down our throat, and then Seth was there to debunk them and say no, that's not true, and this is the data from all over the country, and we will not win the White House without Georgia's 16 electoral votes, and so. It's really good. So any event like that we can host and we can show up for, we have to do that. And you have to get involved. I know you're home and you're busy raising your family. I have 3 kids, so am I. But we have to get involved, because Jody kept saying over and over last night, you're not the majority. There's just a few of you. You're not the majority, which is a lie. We know we're the majority. We definitely are the majority. We're the ones working. We're the ones paying taxes. We're the ones that established this country, our founding fathers, and we are still here, and we do not want to lose our freedom. And so we've got to show up at events. We have to. And we're going to have a big fundraiser event in the 1st District in St. Simons in January. And so I'll be hopefully coming back on here and announcing that. And I'd love for y'all to come participate. But get involved. If you're in Chatham County, you need to go get involved with the Chatham County GOP. You need to get involved with the GRA. You need to get involved and go to board meetings, Board of Election meetings, county commissioner meetings, school board meetings. You go to these meetings and you hold your elected people accountable and you tell them what you want. It's your country. We're bottom up. We run the show.
How condescending to say you're not a majority, that you're a minority. We bend over backwards for minorities around here, so they ought to be giving you the world.
Yeah, one guy at the last meeting told Jody Lott, he said, your problem is you work for us and y'all need to shut up and listen. And I don't use the word shut up, but he said that to her and I thought, wow, he's right. They are elected as a public servant, and that means to serve at our pleasure. So they are there to do our bidding, to do the will of the people. We don't care what they say. We don't care what they think. We want you to shut up, listen to what we think and what we say, and go and do it, whether you agree or not.
Yeah. Well, Candace, we appreciate it. Keep holding their feet to the fire, and we'll stay in touch.
Yes. Thank you for coming on. People are loving it. Christy Maud says hello. She didn't know you were going to be on today, but good to see you, Candace, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks,
Have
Candace.
a good day.
All right. Thank y'all for having me.
Yes,
Have
ma'am.
a wonderful day.
You too.
You too.
Bye-bye. Love her. She's great.
She is terrific.
So-
She ran a good campaign, too.
Yes.
She really
And,
did.
we have a lot of comments here. Mary McCann Hybrider said she loves Candace. Christy Maud said she didn't know Candace was coming on. And we are the majority. We have to
Lindy's a
peak up.
better PR man.
Yeah, we have to speak up and we have to show up. And then Mary McCann Hybrider says everyone needs to get involved. And Steve Stanton Sr. says totally agree. And Lizzie Warren says the Chatham GOP is working hard and growing. If the conservative-minded voter gets involved on the most basic level, voting, we can start taking back some of these seats. You're absolutely right, Lizzie. We are working very hard here in Chatham, and I hope that people will get involved. I know that it's not the most fun thing to do is not to go to a meeting or to go door knock or to go campaign for someone, but these little small things, a couple hours of your time a week, really will change the course of what's happening in our county, in our cities, and this country.
Boy, that's for sure. All right, coming up, got some financial advice for you. Travis Chance standing by from CFG Wealth Management to tell us what he's expecting from the market as we head into the fourth quarter.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke.
When I grow up,
I want to be hired based on what I look like,
rather than my skills. I want to be judged
by my political beliefs. I want to get promoted
based on my chromosomes. When I grow up, I want to be offended
by my coworkers
and walk around the office
on eggshells
and have my words policed
by HR. Words like
grandfather,
peanut gallery,
long time no see,
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety and do workplace sensitivity training all day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder.
Just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist. I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work. Introducing the #1 woke-free job board in America, redballoon.work.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit. Welcome back to Get Real America. Time once again to check in with our good buddy Travis Chance of CFG Wealth Management. That stands for Complete Financial Goodies or whatever. Find out what's going on in the financial world. Well, Travis, every time we turn around, I know we always say it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. The roller coaster ride that during this administration has been taking on the stock market. But one of the big things that we've got going on right now, the big battles going on, is this debt ceiling. And I've notified my credit card companies and let them know that I'm going to increase my debt ceiling as well. That hasn't worked out as well for me as it seems to work in Congress. What's the purpose of having a debt ceiling if we keep raising it all the time, and what are the effects?
I don't think there is one.
Yeah.
I will tell you my feeling.
Sure.
I don't think there is one. I think it's such an arbitrary thing at this point. Might as well get rid of it because every time you turn around, they're just increasing it. The issue, what it's supposed to do, and let's think about it, is no different than our household budget. You sit around, you talk to your family, you talk to your spouse, and you realize that what you're spending is not sustainable, and you say, hey, we need to cut, or we need to start paying our debt down and stop spending on some of these frivolous things, kind of like some of our programs, and they're just not willing to do it. And I wish I could say that it's actually isolated to Republican or Democrat, but it's not.
No.
It truly feels like no matter who's in office, the checks keep rolling out, and it just changes whose name's on the check. I think the showdown that we're going to see, and this is coming, it's not here yet, but this is what's coming. You and I talked about this privately and offline. Right now you have about 6% of our total inflows are going to debt service. But that number is about to explode in the next 5 to 7 years because you're going to start seeing these treasuries and this debt that was issued at ultra low interest rates start resetting at 3-4 times the interest that they were paying just a few years back. So that's really the key for me is it's not so much the spending, it's about how are we still letting our debt run amok and not at least trying to get some type of a handle. If they were willing to actually have a serious debate, I think I'd feel a lot better. But I think most of what we're seeing right now is political theater, and I think it's just who can make the other side look the worst going into the next election. I think that's a lot of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, Travis, I get the feeling that they just don't care, and think that somehow that this house of cards is just going to keep coming. I remember Jerry Nadler, one of my favorites, the nattering nabob from New York, said, "Well, it doesn't bother me to borrow trillions of dollars."
Because it's very evident to those of us who are outside looking in, but I think more to the point, since we're talking about finance, I think what maybe listeners want to know or what they want to kind of get an idea of is what could be the impact to their retirement, to their finances, to their 401ks and their accounts. And don't get me wrong, there's some concern. And the reason being is back in 2011, that's the number that you keep hearing people bring up, or the year. We had a very tumultuous 2-month period. It started in the 1st of June, went through the end of July. And, around the debt ceiling, there was about an 11% swing in the S&P. And total, I think the S&P was down about 17% when it was all said and done. Now, that's the bad, right? That could be volatility. That could be very uncomfortable. But if you look out, once we get the debt ceiling passed and on the way, we were actually positive within 90 days. So, 3 months later, we're back and moving forward in the right direction. So I think a lot of people are worried right now thinking, hey, is this thing, we had a bad year last year. Is this thing going to take us down this year? And I don't think the answer to that is yes. I think there's, there could be some volatility, but that's the reason why we try to, as keep your risk budget in check. And I think, it's one of those things we're going to have to ride out the political theater because there's absolutely no way to predict what McCarthy's going to say on this interview, how Jeffries is going to respond, how Biden's going to. There's no way to do that. So I think that's really what's coming. Now, there were two other instances, recent memory, that we had the same kind of scenario that wasn't anywhere near as severe as 2011. Those markets were down 5 to 7 and back up within a month. So I do think we could see some gyrations, but I don't think long term it's gonna take us exceptionally down from here.
Mm-hmm. Travis, I think that you don't have to be a mathematical genius, and you don't have to darken the door of a financial class to know that you cannot spend yourself rich.
Yeah. It's kind of like standing in a bucket of water and trying to lift the bucket and lift yourself up by the handle.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do it. It's impossible. Physics, that just doesn't work. And I think that's the thing that most people want. Mike Pence, and once again, this is not an endorsement, I'm just telling you, it made a lot of sense. Mike Pence was talking the other day, and he made a lot of sense. I think it was worth repeating. And he was talking about the fact that, what you have to do is you have to work on how do we cut or how do we keep and cap the spending that we're currently experiencing now, and how do we help the economy grow so the surplus is increased without creating additional burden on the taxpayers. That's a viable solution, right? Increase your cash flow, cut your spending, you can start paying down the debt. That's a viable option. I just think that, Bill, there's just not an appetite in Washington right now. It's about who can I get what to and how can I get votes from it. And unfortunately, I don't see a Ronald Reagan around the corner. I wish I did, but I don't know if that's out there.
Yeah.
We apologize for that audio. We're having some technical issues this morning. That was pretty bad. So
we'll have Travis on Monday.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys sticking with us, though.
No kidding.
Yes.
All right. Coming up next.
There are some really good things going on around the country, and we'll be talking about a lot of those when we get back.
We always like to end things on positive notes, and we have some for you. Coming up, Get Real. Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Who is a kid? Well, that's a kid. And another. Look, a gaggle of them. Or is it a herd? Litter? Pride. But what about her? Tell her she's not a kid. Or him. So how do we tell who is a kid? Height? Age, maybe. But some of us have to grow up faster than others. A kid. A kid. A kid wants to make the world better. And one day, he just might. Is a kid fearless? Vulnerable? Strong? Nervous? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Have you ever boarded a plane and thought to yourself, I hope the pilot is a transgender refugee? Have you ever gone to the emergency room and said, I hope my medical team is incredibly diverse? Have you ever moved to a new city and said, I hope the police department hit its equity goals for the year? If your answer to these questions was no, if you just wanted the most qualified candidates for the job, then you are normal. But we have a lot of very not normal people running America these days. Left-wing politicians believe skin color or gender identity should determine who gets the job. Democrats used to care about the middle class. Now they just care about your race and your gender. And as long as Democrats stay in power, it will just keep getting worse. Stop the bigotry. Stop the insanity. Paid for by Citizens for Sanity.
Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard. 5th day of October. Mercy sakes alive.
It's going to be Halloween before you know it.
Yep, absolutely. Halloween falls on a Tuesday this year, so
hate that. I wish it always fell on a weekend.
Yeah, I do too. And I think what a lot of cities do now is they try to make it on a Saturday night. You know,
Yeah.
have the Halloween on Saturday night. So that would be like the 28th or something like that.
Yeah.
So we'll
just not
see
the
what
same.
We'll see what city officials decide to do.
Yes, and here's the thing: when you're up in D.C., I think you want to go home as soon as possible if you're a normal human being.
That's exactly right.
I think John Kennedy is probably one of my all-time favorites, and it's because of his sense of humor.
Yeah, he's the Babylon Bee of the Senate.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And he had an interview, and he talks about his thoughts on what the people are thinking about the people that represent them in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
John, I realize that even on a good day, most Americans look at Washington, D.C., and they ask themselves, how did these people make it through the birth canal? And that's on a good day. John.
You got to love John Kennedy.
Yeah.
He is probably my favorite. Like I said, his sense of humor, hilarious, and we always like to end things on a lighter note. Mm-hmm. He keeps things pretty light, but also has some reality to it as well.
Yeah, for sure. And he does not gild the lily. And his campaign ads were he got reelected by a landslide, by the way. Down in Louisiana.
Shocking.
Yeah, he said I won't let you down. I'd rather drink weed killer.
What a great campaign slogan.
Oh, yeah. A great bumper sticker, too.
I also think people love people that are just normal.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
just plainly talk to them, treat them like human beings and not like they're betters or anything like that. So not surprising he got reelected in a landslide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I hope that continues for him.
I hope so, too.
There's a lot of great things happening. And one of the things, Kat Von D, for those of you that don't know who she is, she had a show on TV. She's a very good tattoo artist. She's, she's got dark hair. She's was known for being involved with witchcraft and things like that. And a year ago, she denounced witchcraft and some of the satanic things. And a year later, she is converted and baptized.
She has a come into Jesus moment.
And this is it.
Yeah.
Catherine von Gothenburg, upon your profession of faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, and in obedience to his divine command, I baptize you, my sister, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Always inspiring.
Well, and I think that, Bill, we're hearing stuff like this, and when things get really bad in people's lives and in the world, people come back to God.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing that all over the country. We're seeing this crazy stuff happen at universities. We're seeing people that, like Kat Von D, I never would have thought would have converted and been baptized. But, God is wonderful.
It was so exciting at Auburn University last week when they had all these hundreds of kids getting baptized in the lake there, and others that were there applauding, and there were thousands that were showing up for these for all the different revivals and things that they were having. It was just amazing and very, very encouraging. And the other part encouraging was that there was no professors that were objecting to this. There were no demonstrations against them or anything of that nature. That's very encouraging. Way to go, Auburn.
Yeah.
War Eagle.
Well, that's the other thing. I think that it's just refreshing to see all of this stuff happen, and it also is getting traction. It's getting publicized. Like people. Mm-hmm. Social media is allowing it to get out because you're not going to see this on normal news. Like, people aren't talking about this stuff. Mm-hmm. Christy Maud says, love this. Lizzie Warren says, baptisms always make me cry. Christy Maud said, no true peace without Jesus.
Exactly.
And Mary McCann Highbreeder says, Christy Maud, amen. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We just like to always end things on a positive note, especially the last day of the week, because, there's a lot of craziness going on out there. And,
last day of the week for us, anyway.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, for the show.
Yeah. For some of you, you may have to work on Friday.
Yes, well.
Nah.
I still have to work on Friday,
yeah,
but there's always stuff to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So, I don't know, Bill. I just feel inspired by, we're seeing younger generations become more conservative. Yeah. I think I'm traditional, so I think it's also great to see a lot of these young men are more conservative than previous generations.
That's how the Quaker movement got started. These people were just sick and tired of all the debauchery and everything else that was going on. This debauchery and everything else isn't anything new, and it transcends time and space and everything else. So these people just got fed up with it and said, we're not going to take this anymore. And they formed the Quaker religion and the religious sect.
Yeah, well, I think that things are moving in the right direction. I think we're seeing a shift not only in politics but in the culture. Mm-hmm. But again, like you mentioned earlier today, we didn't get here overnight, and it's work. We have to get back to where we need to be. And again, I think that when men become more conservative, it also pushes women to become more conservative because they typically follow their husband. So if they're getting mm-hmm. married, they're typically going to be more conservative and be more involved with the church and their community. So just some good news on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Candace Owens, the one I was thinking about earlier, told it like it is. You're not in kindergarten, okay? So get ready. If somebody's offended that you're there, too bad.
Well,
students on this campus who actively feel victimized by your presence here today. Additionally, you just pointed out that this man detransitioned, but earlier in your speech...
Guys, I want to hear her. Go ahead. What do I have to say? Just the question, please. No speech. What is the question?
What do you have to say to the trans students on this campus who feel actively victimized by your presence here?
Life's tough. Get a helmet, man. I'm too pregnant for this. Next question.
So Candace Owens is 8 months pregnant right now, and definitely not taking any crap from anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Not afraid of you. I have teenagers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and this is her third baby. I mean, I was shocked to know that she was pregnant again. She's quite the human, and she. Being on college campuses is tough, and I think the fact that she does this, Charlie Kirk does this, and they are very good at pushing back on these people that want to be victims. They don't allow it, and I think that that's a good message.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's a level of civility that this generation needs to learn more than anything else. The year before I was, when I attended Ole Miss, the year before I was there, Bobby Kennedy was invited to speak on campus. I don't know if they were surprised, if he was surprised that he was invited, or they were surprised that he actually accepted. But he was the Attorney General who ordered the troops onto the campus when the first black student enrolled at the University of Mississippi in 1962. And so if there was anybody despised and hated in Mississippi, or in Ole Miss especially, it would have been Bobby Kennedy. By this time, 1965, he is a senator from in New York, and he was invited to speak on campus. There were some demonstrations, but there was no problem. They weren't throwing rocks. They didn't have water bottles in those days. They actually drank from the faucet. But they had maybe they had some signs or something of that nature. But he came. He was well accepted. They listened to his speech. They laughed at his jokes. He gave a very good speech. In fact, you can go to the University of Mississippi website and hear the speech. It was about 19 minutes long. He took questions and answers, and he was well received. They listened to what he had to say, and there was no problem. Now the news media there was just they were just champing at the bit, hoping that something would happen. And as news media sometimes goes, they even cause problems. They'll actually throw a rock through a window to get things started in order to report it.
Oh, come on, Bill. That can't be true.
Oh yeah, I know. I had a friend of mine worked at WCSC, the CBS station in Charleston, South Carolina, right up the road from us, and the first black who went to Clemson, they went up and covered that. And they called CBS, and said, we have the first black student attending Clemson University. Would you like to see it? The first question out of their mouths was there any trouble? No, it was just normal. He just, went to class. Said, okay, well, thank you. If any trouble starts, let us know. Click.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Folks, we're talking 1965, 6, things of that nature. When there was still even some segregation in America, and this is what the media has devolved into. You deserve better from your media. We should be an arbiter. It was always said to be the watchdog. Well, it's become the lapdog of the Democrat Party.
It absolutely has.
And it's pathetic how they cover stuff, how they don't cover things, and the biggest power, of course, the media has is the power to ignore when they don't tell you about a particular story.
Well, and that's why we're here, right, Bill?
Yeah, that's right.
We really want to grow this. We want to do more investigative journalism here locally.
And we sure could use your help.
Yes, please donate. You can become a member. You can also become an investor, or you can advertise on our show.
If you know somebody that has a business, or you have a business, our rates are not that high. It's a lot cheaper than advertising on the radio or on television here in this town, and I think it's money well spent. Wouldn't you like? How many of you have had this? We know we talked to Travis Chance a lot about and from CFG Wealth Management. How many times? I wonder how many times he's heard, "Boy, if I'd have just gotten in on the ground floor." 3 years ago, if I had just invested in face masks, and Pfizer. I wouldn't have to work another day in my life, and Purell hand sanitizer. my dad always used to lament about the fact that, wish I'd have bought Holiday Inn when it was $5 a share. And, you know, so what, do you want to get on the ground floor or not? I was told back in 1985, I got what to me at the time was an enormous check refund from the Internal Revenue Service. I wrote them, I even sent them a letter. I said, I don't want to pay for this, this, and this. So how about giving me a refund on all this? A few weeks later, I got this thing from the IRS. And oh God, how much do I owe them now or whatever? There was a $5,800 check in there.
Wow.
Had I taken that money, or just $1,000 of that, and invested it in Microsoft, which I'd never heard of at the time, let's just say that no, my next address would have been Easy Street. Okay, I would not only been at the landings, I would have owned the landings. Just $1,000 in 1985 would be worth millions today. If I'd invested the whole thing, I wouldn't have to pay taxes. I'd just ask Washington how much they need.
Well, you're generous. I definitely wouldn't ask that, but they don't do good things with our money. But
that's a joke, son. I'm throwing them and you're sidestepping them. There's a hole in your glove, way over your head, son. I'm a Foghorn Leghorn fan.
Oh, well, on that note, that wraps our show for the week. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, time flies when you're having fun.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Remember, Fold of Honor on Saturday. We also have the Buddy Walk on Saturday.
Greek Festival starts today.
And
food is, that Greek food is. The Greeks have this way of combining things that have no business
being together.
Being together, and it's fabulous. You get the stuff, the grape leaves and stuff. Are you kidding? You get one bite and it's like, ooh, give me some more of that.
Yeah, you need to go check out the Greek Festival if you haven't been.
Do.
Delicious.
It's great. All right, see you then.